Prabhupada. Thank you so much for the opportunity, sir. We'll start this evening with a little bit of kirtan. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nityanamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Rashakarine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Rashakarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivakadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivakadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada, Jai Prabhupada, 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 Jai Prabhupada, Jai Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Gora Hari Bo, Gora Hari Bo, Hari Oh, Hari Bo, Gora Hari Bo. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Shintai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So, Hare Krishna again to everybody, and thank you so much for joining us this evening. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Shri Prabhupada, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. So, this evening we have a very nice topic. Since it was the appearance day of Srimati Jahnava Devi last week, we're going to discuss some of her wonderful pastimes. She is the wife of Lord Nityananda, and she is a powerful preacher in our Gaudiya Vaishnava line. And it's an honor to be speaking about it today. So I pray for all your blessings to do justice to this cause. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So to begin with, we'll read a verse from Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is. We're reading from chapter 4, text 3. Sa ivayam maya tedhya yogaha proktaha puratanaha bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam hi etad uttamam. Translation and purport for His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme Lord is today told by me to you, because you are my devotee as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of the science. Purport. There are two classes of men, namely the devotee and the demon. The Lord selected Arjuna as the recipient of this great science, owing to his being a devotee of the Lord. But for the demon, it is not possible to understand this great mysterious science. There are a number of editions of this great book of knowledge. Some of them have commentaries by the devotees, and some of them have commentaries by the demons. Commentation by the devotees is real, whereas that of the demons is useless. Arjuna accepts Sri Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and any commentary of the Gita on the Gita following in the footsteps of Arjuna is real devotional service to the cause of this great science. The demoniac, however, do not accept Lord Krishna as he is. Instead, they concoct something about Krishna and mislead general readers from the path of Krishna's instructions. Here is a warning about such misleading paths. One should try to follow the disciplic succession from Arjuna and thus be benefited by this great science of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Om Jnanatmirantasya Jnanyanjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamahyam Dati Swapdatam Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Charine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastrati Shitani. So, in the fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, it's emphasized over and over again transcendental knowledge can't be obtained by anyone else but one who has seen the absolute truth. Krishna advises us to take knowledge from such a person only. So there's a very important understanding we have to gather from this. When Prabhupada says in this purport that the commentaries on knowledge that come in the line of disciplic succession are devotional service, that's a very important point that we must note. Because for these commentaries, for this transcendental knowledge that's coming from those who have seen the truth to be devotional service, it means that they're coming from Bhakti herself. And that is what sets them apart from any other ordinary commentation. Because Krishna can only be given to us through Bhakti. This is not something that we can understand from a material point of view, because in the material world, when we get knowledge, that knowledge is obtained in an interaction between the books perhaps that we're reading, in that source of knowledge, the teacher and ourselves. And there isn't a need for any kind of devotion to be applied to that subject in order for us to have a grasp of it. One needs some instruction, some time to understand, to remember, to apply the knowledge, and then one can have a reasonable application of whatever they're trying to get some knowledge of. But if we try to do the same thing in devotional service with transcendental knowledge, we won't be successful. Um, Bhakti Devi is a real conscious, dynamic person, and we have to be able to get her mercy. And that is where we have some difficulty understanding how to do that. So um, it depends on many factors, but most important is the attitude with which we are approaching that knowledge, the humility, the love and respect that is necessary, and through the devotees of Krishna. Srila Prabhupada says in the purport of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 15, Text 8, in devotional service, the mercy of a devotee is more valuable than the mercy of the Lord. So if we get the mercy of a devotee, then we can attain bhakti, and then we can attain the knowledge of Krishna, which is of course Krishna himself. So there we see how personal this whole process is. It's nothing at all like the system of material knowledge, which is actually very personal, and there isn't any real feeling attachment. The devotee of the Lord is a person, bhakti is a person, and Krishna is a person. That's very unique in that process of getting knowledge about Krishna. And it's also very systematic. So instead of leading to any confusion, it's actually quite easy when we understand it that way. Through the devotee, we get bhakti, we get Krishna. So Krishna is saying to Arjuna also in the verse that because he is a devotee and a friend, then he can understand this great mystery. Transcendental knowledge seems like a mystery when we don't know this process of how to attain it. But this is where our attitude comes in, approaching that knowledge, as we said, with love, with respect, with humility. That makes us devotees. And when we are able to do this, then that formula comes to life. Approaching the devotee, getting bhakti from them, and then getting Krishna. So another concept that may be difficult for people to understand without understanding that Krishna is a person is how we can be his devotee and how we can actually be a friend to Krishna. Because Krishna is speaking to Arjuna literally. It's not some kind of fantasy that we can be the loving devotee and friend of God. But in order to demonstrate to us in the material world where these concepts are but abstract, we have Lord Chaitanya appearing as a devotee and displaying how we can develop these relationships and how we can express them in the proper authorized way. And of course, with Lord Chaitanya came his wonderful associates, Lord Nityananda, the other members of Panchatattva, the six Goswamis. Um, from all of these persons, we have the examples to follow how we are to behave in devotional service in order to develop our relationship with Krishna. So in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya, Srila Prabhupada says about the Lord and his associates. Other pure devotees who are more or less attached to Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Prabhu are attracted by other transcendental relationships such as parental affection, friendship, and servitorship. When such devotees are very much attached to the activities of Lord Chaitanya, they at once become confidential devotees in conjugal love with Supreme Lord. So if we take the statement apart, we can understand that Lord Nityananda, who is of course Lord Balaram, is the elder brother of Krishna, which is a more protective role like that of Vatsalya Ras. And of course, he's a cowherd boy, and so he's also having that relationship with Krishna with their cowherd friends. And Advaita Charya is Mahavishnu, and his dear and loving associates, servants, they relate to him as his servants, as in the rasa of Dasya. So we see that Vatsalya Sakya, that is parental, friendly, and Dasya rasa servitorship, are granted to us by Lord Nityananda and Advaitacharya, and of course the relationship of neutrality is common to both of them. But if we desire to attain the love of the gopis for Krishna, or to associate Krishna in that Madhurya Ras, then we must get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, because it is Lord Chaitanya who is in the mood of Srimati Radharani, which is in this highest Madhurya Ras. So we must always bear in mind, though, that even if Lord Nityananda is not in that Madhurya Ras, in order to get Lord Chaitanya's mercy to get into that Madhurya Ras, we still need Lord Nityananda's mercy. We can never get Lord Chaitanya's mercy without Lord Nityananda's mercy. Therefore, Narottam Das Thakur is praying, when will that day come when Lord Nityananda's causeless mercy is bestowed upon me, so that my desire for material enjoyment becomes very insignificant? When my mind is completely purified, being freed from material anxieties and desires, then I shall be able to understand Vrindavan and the conjugal love of Radha and Krishna, and then my spiritual life will be successful. So from this we can understand that we always need Lord Chaitanya's mercy to overcome the material condition. And then when we're able to get out of these material desires, anxieties, and problems, being purified, we can attain any one of the rasas through Lord Nityananda's mercy, either directly from him in the rasas from Santa Ras, um, Dasya Ras, Sakya Ras, and Vatsalya Ras, or to get his mercy to get Lord Chaitanya's mercy to attain Madhurya Ras. Through Lord Nityananda, we can attain the highest perfection in every way. And how do we get the mercy of Lord Nityananda? So it is said by Bhaktivinoda Thakur that it's through his energy, Srimati Jahnava Devi. She is known as Nityananda Swarupani. She's actually the other half of Lord Nityananda. Um, so getting her mercy allows us to get the mercy of Lord Nityananda, which allows us to get the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Basically, getting her mercy opens up the doors of the spiritual world to us. So this is another application again of what we have discussed before, that by getting the mercy of the devotee, Srimati Jahnava, we are getting the mercy of the Lord himself, Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya. So this formula is always the same and it always works. Today we're going to discuss a little more about the pastimes, the wonderful pastimes and qualities of Srimati Jahnava. So she appeared on the 8th day of the full moon in the month of Vaishakha in either the year 1409 or 1410. So as we said, Lord Nityananda is Lord Balaram, and in Krishna Lila, Lord Balaram has two wives, Revati and Varuni. And they are said to have appeared as Vasudha and Jahnava. And they are the daughters of Suryadas Sarakya, and he was a very dear associate of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So it's said in the Gaura Dipika that Vasudha and Jahnava are the expansions of Varuni and Revati in Vrindavan, and that Suryadas Sarakya, whose bodily effulgence is like the sun, is an expansion of Kakudman. He was the king of Revat, and he was the father of Revati Devi in his previous birth. According to other opinions, Jahnava Devi is the expansion of Ananga Manjari, who is one of the Manjaris of Krishna Lila. And some say that Vasudha Devi herself is also an incarnation of Ananga Manjari. So Jahnava Devi's mother was Bhadravati, and her father's home is in the village of Shaligram, which is near Navadvip. So Surya Das was the third son of Kamsari Mishra, and his mother was Kamala Devi. And he had five brothers, Damodar, Jagannath, Gauridas, Krishnadas, and Sima Chaitanya. He had a very important post in the government of Gauradesh at the time, and so he was given the title Sharakel, which means commander, and he earned quite a large amount of money. But even so, it says that he was completely devoted to Krishna and had a spotless reputation. The Chaitanya Charitamrita says that Surya Das and Krishna Das were brothers who both had great faith in Nityananda and were filled with love for Krishna. Another scripture called Bhakti Ratnakar says, in a dream, Surya Das also saw Nityananda as Balaram, with Vasudha and Jahnava standing to his left and right in their forms as Revati and Varun. Surya Das offered the two girls to Nityananda's lotus feet. Nityananda Prabhu mercifully gave him the same vision directly. Surya Das fainted in ecstasy. So after having such a wonderful dream, Surya Das was convinced that both his beautiful young daughters were the eternal consorts of Lord Nityananda. Therefore, he desired very intensely that they would become his wives. So he sent a friend of his, Brahman, to the home of Srivas Thakur, where Lord Nityananda was staying, to beg him to accept the two girls as his wives. So Lord Nityananda accepted happily and sent the Brahmins back to give the good news to Suryadas Sarakel. And in the meantime, in the village of Bogachi, there was a son of the king, Sri Krishna Das, who was a very dear devotee of Lord Nanda, who said that he would make all the wedding preparations on behalf of the Lord and sponsor it. So many devotees, all in ecstasy at this wonderful arrangement, arrived to celebrate this wedding. Lord Nityananda first went to Bogachi, and then after that went with Surya Das Pandit's brother Krishna Das to Shaligram village, where um, the family of Jahnava Devi received him with much love. Um, it said, Surya Das fell down at the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, his eyes brimming with tears and ecstatic love. He caught hold of his two lotus feet and wanted to offer some prayers, but could not express anything due to being overcome by ecstatic emotions. Lord Nityananda smiled sweetly and embraced him in great love. Surya Das was always absorbed in intense happiness. Who can understand his inner self? Seeing these loving pastimes of his brother, Gauridas lost his patience and felt great bliss within himself. Then, after worshipping the two lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, he offered his two daughters in marriage to him. Thus, the marriage ceremony was very auspiciously performed. So, this transcendental family, Surya Das' brother, his brother Gauri Das, we remember we've discussed previously the second generation of devotees after the six Goswamis. One of them is the great Shamananda Pandit. Shamananda Pandit's spiritual master was retired Chaitanya Pandit, and his spiritual master was Gauridas Pandit. So these are very dear associates and very great teachers. So Jahnava Devi, she didn't have any children, but Vasudha Devi had two children. Virabhadra or Virachandra Goswami is an incarnation of Shiradaksha Vishnu, and her daughter Ganga Devi is the incarnation of the river Ganges. So Virabhadra Goswami became a disciple of Jahnava Devi after seeing very wonderful incident. Jahnava Devi was serving in the home, and while she was performing a service, her sari fell, but she couldn't put down what she had in her hands. So she immediately manifested two more arms in order to cover her head. So this shows her great power and also her great um, cultured nature. And seeing this, Virabhadra Goswami was quite amazed and he became a disciple. So Ganga Devi, the niece of Jahnava Devi, um, her husband Madhvacharya is the incarnation of King Shantanu according to the Gaura Tipika. So this is the transcendently wonderful family of Lord Nityananda. So after the the disappearance of the Lord and his associates, as we said, the second generation of Shamananda Pandit, Srinivasacharya and Narottam Das Thakur, they took on the responsibility of pushing on the Sankirtan movement in um, the areas that the Lord had previously preached, as well as expanding it to other areas, which was difficult for them initially because um, many many devotees had been very hurt when the Lord disappeared, and so they had lost the momentum in the Sankirtan movement. It is said that Vaishnavas at the time were quite scattered, and so it was up to these three powerful preachers to not only unite the Vaishnava community and enthuse them again, but also to spread the message even further. So they had great successes, and Narottam Das Thakur had been preaching in Keturigram, where his cousin, the king, Santosh Datta, had given him great support and had desired that a temple be built in order to further the Sankirtan movement. So Narottam Das Thakur had organized a massive and wonderful Sankirtan festival around the appearance day of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in order to open this temple. And he required Jahnava Mata he requested Jahnava Mata to preside over this festival. She was the most senior Vaishnava at the time, and she also had a great desire in her heart to show mercy to the Vaishnavas, to unite them again under one banner, and to recreate the glory of the Sankirtan movement as it had been when Lord Chaitanya was on the planet. So she attended the festival with many dear, wonderful associates of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. So on her way to Keturi, she had passed through many of the the holy places where she was enlivening devotees as she went. She went to Ambika Kalna first, which is the temple of her uncle Gauridas Pandit, who um, just spoke about, and she was very nicely received by his disciple, the wonderful Hriday Chaitanya Prabhu. Here she cooked for the deities, Shri Shinitai Gauranga. These are very special deities because they've actually interacted personally with devotees on many occasions throughout history. Um, then after they passed through Navadvip and other holy places, they reached Keturigram, and their very wonderful arrangements had been made by the king Santosh Datta for them to be received, and new quarters had been built for them to reside in for the festival. So the following day was the actual appearance day of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and within that newly constructed temple, there were six glorious sets of deities that were installed. In the evening, the devotees gathered together for Sankirtan, and this chanting was so ecstatic and so um, devotional that even those who were most sinful and the atheists, when they came into the presence of such devotees, especially Jahnava Mata and in that kirtan, they were immediately purified of all this. It is said that everybody in Keturi Gram was present for this festival. People just left their homes and came to participate in the Sankirtan that went on well through the night. The following day, with great festivities, the Abhishek ceremony is performed by Srinivasacharya. And it is during the ceremony that Jahnava Devi requested Narottam Das Thakur to lead Kirtan. And during this ecstatic Kirtan, it is said that Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nanda and their associates themselves personally appeared and danced among the devotees. We can only imagine how ecstatic that Kirtan was. On the third day of the festival, Jahnava Mata cooked herself for the feast. The Bhakti Ratnakar says, Sri Jahnava Devi was extremely delighted by the Sankirtan festival. After purifying herself by bathing in the Ganges at midday, with great enthusiasm, she cooked wonderful preparations of rice, vegetables, and other things. Her cooking was unprecedented. Jahnava Mata herself distributed prasad by her own hands to the great souls present there at that grand festival. So once again, this is the example of a perfect Vaishnava. She is not just the most senior Vaishnava at the time and the most respected guest at this festival. She's the Shakti of the Supreme Lord, his dear wife, and she is cooking personally and distributing personally. And this is again in complete contradiction to what we're used to in the material world, because everybody wants to be served, and certainly nobody wants to do the very humble work. But even in the spiritual world, it's said that Lakshmi Devi is cleaning Vaikuntha. So Vaikuntha is spotlessly clean. Why does she need to clean some more? It's because she knows that the Lord is pleased by such menial services. It's being done with love, of course. So in the same way, we need to apply ourselves. There's a difficult or seemingly menial task available in our devotional service. We should never think that anything is beneath us, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is always watching us at all times. And He's appreciating when we act with humility and love, following the steps of wonderful, wonderful personalities like Jahnava Devi. So after this great festival, she visited Vrindavan. She went first to Vishramghat into the bath, and then met by a party of devotees in Mathura who escorted her to Vrindavan. And there, of course, she came to the samadhi of her uncle Gauridas Pandit. Then she met the leaders of the Vaishnava community like Lokanath Goswami, Bhugarva Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Jiva Goswami, others, who all offered their respects to her. With them, she visited the main temples of Vrindavan, Madan Mohan, Govindji, and Gopinath. And then she went to Radhakund, where she met the wonderful Raghunath Das Goswami, who was constantly engaged in the service of God, and quite emaciated for all his austerities. She stayed at Radhakund for a few days, engaged in bhajan. It was here that she heard the sound of Krishna's flute when she was sitting on the banks of Radhakund. She had a vision of Krishna himself, which overwhelmed her with ecstatic love. And that ghat that she was bathing at and where she had vision is known as Sri Jahnava Ghat. Then she took the company of devotees to go on parikram across Vrindavan, and during this time she also heard Srila Jiva Goswami discussing on uh, Srimad Priya Bhagavatamrita. Then another extraordinary occurrence happened when she was bathing the Yamuna River. She saw a small black hand that grabbed the end of a cloth as she was trying to get out of the water. But when she turned, there was no one there. Instead, she heard a voice saying, "I want to come and stay with you. When you're taking bath in the Ganga one day, I'll come and I'll join you." After she had completed her Vrindavan parikram and went back to Navadvip, indeed, when she was bathing the Ganges one day, she found uh, a deity within the water, the form of Shri Gopinathji. And she established the worship of that wonderful deity, and still being worshipped by a descendant of Ganga Devi and niece at a place called Jirat. So Radhanath Maharaj says, after Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda departed from this world, Jahnava Devi, the consort of Nityananda Prabhu, was honored as the senior most Vaishnava Acharya of the Gaudiya Sampradaya. Even the great Goswamis worshipped her. On a trip to Vrindavan, she was put through many challenges. The Smarta Brahmins considered her to be a threat and wanted her to die. But in incredible ways, all these opposing parties surrendered unto her and became her disciples. Although she was honored by the great renunciants, she would serve all the devotees by cooking for them, personally serving them. After her parikram to Braj, Jahnava Devi returned to Gauradesh, and she visited very many places, important places of pilgrimage of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes of associates. So she was going throughout these holy places and losing all the devotees there. So, like we had said in the beginning, we always need the association of devotees. Even if we're living in a holy place, without that association, there's nothing to enliven our devotional service and keep it forward and progressing towards Krishna. The association of devotees, especially senior devotees, is so important. And these devotees were getting the opportunity to associate Lord Nanda Shakti herself. So she first went to Katuri Gram again, where she met Narottam Das Thakur and Ramchandra Kaviraj, and they had, of course, wonderful Sankirtan. And after that, she went to a place called Budari Gram and then on to Ekachakra, which is very important place of pilgrimage, the appearance of the appearance place of Lord Nityananda Prabhu. So this is where she got darshan and heard about the father and mother of Lord Nityananda, Harai Pandit Padmavati Devi. And in the company of a Brahmin, she went parikram to all the wonderful places of Lord Nityananda's child pastimes. Then she stayed in the house that had been Lord Nityananda's home younger and passed the night kirtan. From there, she went on to Kantak Nagara, which is very near to Katwa, place where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas. And after having darshan of that holy place, she went to Jajigram, which is the home of Srinivasacharya, one of the three powerful preachers. We have the second generation after six Goswamis. So Srinivasacharya received her with much love and devotion, and she stayed there for a few days, and then she went to Navadvip. And in Navadvip, she visited the home of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. She was very sad, of course, that Sachimat had passed on, but living there was Ishan Thakur, a very old but wonderful servant of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's family. And she went to have kirtan at that night in the home of Srivas Thakur, where Lord Chaitanya used to have his nightly sankirtans. And in that wonderful place, she actually had a dream where she saw Lord Chaitanya and his devotees performing their wonderful pastimes. The following day, she went to Ambika Kalna, which is again the home and temple of her uncle Gauridas Pandit, where she served those beautiful Gaunitai deities by having kirtan. And once again, for that kirtan, the deities Gauranga and Nityananda actually appeared and danced with the devotees. Then that night, she cooked many wonderful preparations and served them. And in a dream, she saw Gauridas Pandit with Gauranga and Lord Nityananda, who offered Jahnava Devi all the blessings. Then she went to the home of Udaran Thakur, and after that, she went back to her own home, where she was met by Lord Nanda's son, Virachandra Goswami, a disciple, and his daughter, Ganga Devi, and Vasudha Devi, sister. And she was served by Parameshwari Thakur, a very important associate of Lord. So Jahnava Mata was traveling constantly, preaching constantly, and giving everybody the mercy of Lord Nityananda. And so she was um, creating a new generation of Vaishnavas in order to continue the Sankirtan of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So her role in the Gaudiya Vaishnava is completely we have to remember that the association of Vaishnavas is very important, and we should find senior Vaishnavas that we can gain inspiration from, so that our own devotional creepers can always be nourished and nurtured and keep growing steadily towards achieving Krishna Prema. So Srimati Jahnava Devi disappeared on the 9th day of the bright half of the month of Vaishakha, which is the month of April, the calendar year. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in his Kalyana Kalpatra, very beautiful translation. Having fallen into the ocean of material existence, I am completely distraught and filled with anxiety. Floating in this ocean without any refuge, I am trying to find a shore, but without any success. I am losing all hope of ever finding it. What activity will bring me there? Or what knowledge will bring me there? Conducting some primitive sacrifice, engaging in some mystic yoga process, or conducting austerities. None of these have any power or effect. I am getting very weak and I cannot swim much longer. Now, in this extremely dangerous situation, will no one come to save me? Alas, to make matters worse, having caught sight of the crocodile of worldly affairs, I am petrified with fear, and the current of lust is always churning the water. I can barely keep my head above the water. The winds carrying the results of activities performed in previous lives is blowing and making the water so choppy. I am losing my mind, and now I am simply crying frantically. I can't see anyone who can get me out of this ocean of woes. O my dear Sri Jahnava Devi, please have compassion on your servant and bless me with some of your divine qualities. Please extend me the rope of your mercy and alleviate this intense pain that I am experiencing. I have taken shelter of the boat of your lotus feet, and I have full faith that you can carry me across this ocean. You are the divine energy of Lord Nityananda and the bestower of Krishna Bhakti. Please bless me at your feet, which can bestow all one's desires. You have already delivered so many despicable creatures. Now today here is one more destitute and hateful wretch come to your lotus feet. O Jahnava Devi, be merciful today to your servant, deliver me from my fate. Give me a place in the boat of your lotus feet, so that I can be sure to cross over the ocean of birth and death. You are Nityananda's energy. You are devotion to Krishna and my Guru. Please give the servant the desired tree of your lotus feet. How numerous are the fallen souls that you have saved, so this fallen beggar seeks a place at your lotus feet. Thank you so much for your kind attention while we discuss these wonderful pastimes. We pray so hard to get the mercy of Srimati Jahnava Devi, so that we get the mercy of our beloved Sri Srimati Gaura Hari. Thank you again, and Shri Baba Ki Jai, Srimati Jahnava Devi Ki Jai, Sri Srimati Gaura Hari Ki Jai. Are there any questions?
Krishna Mataji, thank you for the wonderful class and your time, dedication. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for the service.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We don't have any questions. We will have a bit kirtan. It's bhajan by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Nadia Nadiya Gotra में नित्यानंद महाजन आदि अर्चना महतो मेरा करम Nadiya Nadiya Gotra में नित्यानंद महाजन आदि अर्चना महतो मेरा करम Shadhavan Jan hai, Shadhavan Jan hai, Shadhavan Jan hai, Shadhavan Jan hai, Adi Acharya Mahate Jivera Karan, Adi Acharya Mahate Jivera Karan. Kabura Ajay Bhai Nagi Disha, Kabura Ajay Bhai Nagi Disha, Bolo Krishna Bhaju Krishna Guru Krishna Krishna, Bolo Krishna Bhaju Krishna Guru Krishna Krishna, Nadiya Nadiya Gojana Nityananda Mahajan, Nadiya Chana Mahasan Jivera Karan. Nadiya, Nadiya Godane, Nityananda Mahajan, Nadiya Chana Mahasan Jivera Karan. Aparada Shunya Hoya Loho Krishna Nam, Aparada Shunya Hoya Loho Krishna Nam, Krishna Mata Krishna Pita Krishna Dhanata, Krishna Mata Krishna Pita Krishna Dhanata. Nadiya, Nadiya Godane, Nityananda Mahajan, Nadiya Chana Mahasi Jivera Karan. Nadiya, Nadiya Godane, Nityananda Mahajan, Nadiya Chana Mahasi Jivera Karan. Krishna Rasam Sara Kare Kari Anachar, Krishna Rasam Sara Kare Kari Anachar, Jivedaya Krishna Nama Sarva Dharma Sar, Jivedaya Krishna Nama Sarva Dharma Sar. Nadiya, Nadiya Godane, Nityananda Mahajan, Nadiya Chana Mahasan Jivera Karan. Nadiya, Nadiya Godane, Nityananda Mahajan, Nadiya Chana Mahasan Jivera Karan. Jai Gauranika, 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 Jai Gauranika, Jai Gauranika, 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 Jai Gauranika, Jai Gauranika, 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 Jai Gauranika, Jai Gauranika. Gauranika, Gauranika, Jai Gauranika, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna. In the land of Nadia, on the island of Bodruma, the magnanimous Lord Nityananda has opened up the marketplace of the holy name, meant for the deliverance of all fallen souls. O people of faith, O people of faith, by the order of Lord Gauranga, O brothers, I beg these three requests of you. Chant Krishna, worship Krishna, and teach others about Krishna. Being careful to remain free of offenses, just take the holy name of Lord Krishna. Krishna is your mother, Krishna is your father, and Krishna is the treasure of your life. Giving up all sinful activities, carry on your worldly duties only in relation to Lord Krishna. The showing of compassion to other souls by loudly chanting the holy name of Krishna is the essence of all forms of religion. Shri Shri Nitai Gaura Hari Ki Jai, Srimati Jahnava Ki Jai, Shri Bhaktivinoda Thakur Ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai. So there's such an important message in that bhajan. Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya, they enjoyed relishing pastime, Sankirtan, in the evenings together. But when they were enthused and enlivened by their personal relishing of the holy names, then during the day they would go out and distribute that relish to the whole world. So when we take the association of devotees and we personally enliven ourselves in company of these devotees, it's important that with the benefit that we make from the association and advancement that we get from um, their instructions and their knowledge, we then take that out and share it with others. The most important thing that we must remember about this knowledge of bhakti, besides the fact, of course, that it is dynamic and um, uh, as we said earlier, personal process that we must respect and honor in that way because bhakti is personal, is that this knowledge, this bhakti, it must be shared. That special quality of bhakti is that we can't hold on to it ourselves. We might actually lose it. The more we share it, the more it actually grows within us and, of course, within the world. So we should follow so devotedly in the footsteps of Lord Nanda, a wonderful consort, and all his wonderful associates in sincerely spreading his holy name throughout the world to as many people as we can. As many people as we can. So thank you again so much for all your attention. Are there any other questions before we close?
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you. There was a comment from Bhaktin Korura Paul. Hare Krishna Mataji, welcome. Bhaktin Korura Paul.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees and Mataji, thank you very much for wonderful class and for the nectar of transcendental pastimes and your bhajan. My Dandavan pranams to you. Hare Krishna.
So, thank you for the service. If there's no other comments or questions, thank you again so much for your kind attention, for giving me this opportunity to serve. I've learned so much from this topic as well. Have a wonderful evening. We all be blessed abundantly by Srimati Jahnava, Devi, and Lord Nityananda, and Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, Jai. Hare Krishna.